You're living like a gambler and not an investor, and that's why you're still stuck. So let me tell you something that's either going to offend you or free you and let you start living with more momentum, because you don't need a new strategy, you don't need more motivation, and you don't even need to hit rock bottom and have some kind of breakthrough moment. You need the same thing that Warren Buffett has been doing for the last 70 years, and it's something that you refuse to do for 70 days. And that's why you have to keep starting over. And I know this because I did it myself. Because Warren Buffett is not just the greatest investor of all time. He is the Michael Jordan, the Tiger Woods of delayed gratification. If you actually live your way in the way that he invests, you'll be calm, fit, wealthy, respected, and internally solid. And that's what I try to work with the private clients I work with. You want excitement, shortcuts, intensity without patience. And that's exactly why you're still stuck and going to stay stuck until you start to change that. But here's exactly why Warren Buffett is the Michael Jordan of investing, because people misunderstand Buffett. They think, yeah, he's smart. They think he's lucky. They think he must have just had better information. But you'd be wrong. Plenty of people are smart. Plenty of people have access to the same information. We're living in the information era. Information's not hard to come by. But what Warren Buffett had is identity, discipline. Michael Jordan didn't just win because he tried harder on game day. He won because his standards were non-negotiable every single day. And Warren Buffett is exactly the same. He doesn't chase trends. He doesn't react emotionally. He doesn't abandon the fundamentals when things get boring. He plays one game, one way for decades and lets it compound. And here's the most uncomfortable part. Everything that made Warren Buffett is great is available to you. You just don't respect it or see the value in it. But I'm about to enlighten you in this video. So here's the first rule. Don't lose. And I know that sounds simple, but that's the most famous rule that he lives by. Rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule 1. Because most men hear that and think it's all about caution or even about money, but it's not. It's about protecting the downside before you start chasing the upside. Now, let me translate that into your life. You want more money, more confidence, more purpose, more freedom, more happiness, but you refuse to remove what's draining you. So you're leaking energy through alcohol, dopamine abuse, inconsistent sleep, broken promises to yourself, chaos disguised as freedom, and people around you who keep you small. You're trying to build upside on a cracked foundation. But Warren Buffett would never do that. He doesn't ask, how much can I make? He asks, how do I make sure that I don't blow myself up and self-sabotage? But a lot of men are asking the opposite, and I'm sure you are as well, as you wouldn't be watching this. And that's why you keep having to rebuild the same life with different goals every time. But Warren Buffett only invests into what he understands. He avoids complexity like it's poison. No flashy tech that he doesn't understand, no hype cycles, no trends, just fundamentals. Now let's be honest for a second. You don't understand yourself. You don't understand why you self-sabotage when things are going well. Why you quit when motivation fades, because motivation always fades. Why you feel confident one week and empty the next. And why you keep repeating the same patterns that are moving you nowhere. So what do? You keep adding more complexity, new routines, new goals, new podcasts, new systems. But Warren Buffett would never invest like that. He'd just say, you're gambling. So until you understand your own patterns, your own triggers, and your own behaviours, you're not going to be building a life. You're just speculating and hoping life just comes together in a magical way, which I hope it does for you. But consistency beats brilliance every time, and this is where most men lose the plot completely. Warren Buffett doesn't win by being brilliant every single day. He wins by being consistent while everybody else gets bored. Most of his wealth came after the age of 50. A huge portion of it came after the age of 65. Now really let that sink in for a second, and then let's look at your behaviour through the same lens. You want results fast or you disengage. You want excitement or you drift. You want visible, clear progress that you can shout about, or you doubt everything. Because you don't lack talent. You lack patience with boring excellence. And Warren Buffett would say, look at your life, and he'd say, you quit right now and then the compounding never begins. Because time is the force multiplier that we refuse to respect. Warren Buffett's time is the real weapon. It's not his intelligence, not his effort, but his time. He lets the small advantages compound for years and for decades. You, on the other hand, keep resetting the clock. Every time you fall off your routine, you stop training, you abandon your mental work, You drift back into old habits and you tell yourself, I'll just start again on Monday. And every time you do that, you wipe out the compounding. You don't just fail loudly, you fail quietly by keep restarting. And this is why you feel like you've been working for years on yourself, for years, but you've got nothing solid to show for it, nothing meaningful. So you keep interrupting the process. And that just resets the clock every single time. Because Warren Buffett just ignores the noise, but you're addicted to it. He doesn't watch the market every hour. He doesn't panic. He doesn't chase headlines and shiny objects. He builds his plan and executes regardless of the noise. And you do the opposite. You react to your moods, your daily moods, stress that life throws at us, comparison, social media, other people's timelines, and temporary discomfort. Because your discipline negotiates with your emotions, but Warren Buffett's doesn't. And here's the hard truth. If your discipline depends on how you feel, you don't have discipline. You have a hobby. Because confidence is a byproduct, not a goal. Warren Buffett does not try to feel confident. He just trusts his process, and the process creates results, and they speak for himself, because confidence comes from evidence. If you want confidence without receipts, affirmations without self-kept promises, self-talk without standards, identity without behaviour, and it never works. Confidence is the result of showing up when you said that you would, doing the boring work day after day and letting it compound, keeping promises to yourself and repeating your simple actions daily that build momentum, and trusting yourself to compound these results. You don't just trust yourself because you keep breaking your word. That's not a mindset issue, despite what you may think. That's a structure issue. But building structure that you can stick to is actually so simple. But Warren Buffett protects himself from himself. This part matters way more than you might initially think, because he understands human psychology. He knows about fear, greed, impatience to destroy returns. So he builds systems to protect himself from emotional decisions. But you don't, and a lot of my clients don't when they come to me. So you let stress decide, desire decide, fatigue decide, comfort decide. Then you wonder why you don't feel in control. But you're not broken, you're just unprotected. And this is why having a daily system matters so much more than temporary willpower and motivation, because a system removes the choice. And removing choice saved my life. So if you lived like Warren Buffett invests, I'm going to break it down. So let's really talk practical ways. If you lived how Warren Buffett invests, your life would look like this. Simple daily physical training, not extreme, just non-negotiable and consistent. Daily mental work, reading, journaling, reflection. Clear rules around sleep, alcohol and recovery. Fewer goals, but you execute on them consistently. And boring days stacked day after day until it's unstoppable momentum. That's it. No hype, no theatrics, just quiet dominance. This is exactly why I built the free system that I use with all my private clients. The link's in the description for free. The Become Unfuckwithable Blueprint. It's not motivation, it's not inspiration, it's structure. So if this is landing, which I know it is, else you wouldn't have watched so long, click the link in the bio and get your free copy, or comment the word blueprint on this video and I'll send it through to you. There's no bollocks to it. It's just rules, systems that build self-trust. But here's exactly why you'll probably resist this, because most men do. But I don't work with most men, so it's fine. Because here's the part that most men hate. This approach removes your excuses. You can't blame circumstances, motivation, bad luck and timing. So if you live this way, results just become inevitable and they compound on themselves. And I don't know why, but that scares you. Because drifting keeps hope alive, but structure forces a verdict. Warren Buffett accepted that, but you keep avoiding it, and so do a lot of the men that come to me to work as private clients. But here's the identity shift I want you to go through. At some point, you need to stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to win and become someone who just executes on his process regardless of the outcome. That is identity. And until you stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to get disciplined and start acting like someone who does not negotiate with himself, nothing will change, nothing meaningful anyway. Because this is not about effort. It's about who you are when nobody's watching. Because you're not behind, you're just uncommitted to the process. Because this is important right now. You're not too late to the party. You're definitely not broken. And you're definitely not incapable. You're just half in. But that also means you're half out. Because half in always loses to the people who commit to boring consistency day after day that compounds on itself. Because I've worked with capable men who look successful on paper, but they feel stuck, inconsistent and frustrated with themselves. Men who were smart enough to see the problem, but haven't had the idea enough to build the structure to fix it. I help these men rebuild discipline, structure, and ultimately their self-trust through simple daily systems. So if you want to stop restarting your life every few months and starting from scratch, then jump on my socials and drop me a message. I reply to every message. And if you want the pressure-tested framework that removes chaos and builds momentum, click the link in the bio and download it. And if you're done negotiating with yourself, click the link in the description and download the blueprint or book a power hour breakthrough call with me, and we'll get brutally clear of where you're leaking momentum and how to fix it. So before I go, Warren Buffett didn't win and continue to win because he's special. He won because he respected the boring fundamentals longer than everybody else. The question is not whether this works. The question is whether you're finally ready to stop living like a gambler, an addict gambler, and start living like an investor. It's your move. So I'll see you in the next video, but don't bother clicking on the next video if you're not going to click the links and download the blueprint that's been proven to work over and over again. I'll see you there. Let's fucking have it.